Welcome to All the Things with Sarah Jean. This podcast is for you if you're ready to start living the life your soul came here to live, awaken your truth, inner power, unlimited potential, and magic, claim your desires, and intentionally manifest your dream life. The wisdom, tools, perspectives, and inner work I bring forth here are the exact ones that I use to go from being a chronically anxious, mood-swingy, reactive, unfulfilled, validation-seeking person who was numbing her life through binge and emotional eating, Netflix, and social media, and was staying small, living based on other people's terms, to a woman who owns, claims, and feels my worth, enoughness, and inner power. I'm now embodied in inner peace. I choose to walk with fear as I take risks and move toward my dreams, and am manifesting and creating the wildly magical, expansive, and fulfilling life, business, and relationship my soul came to this earth to experience. Now, this is not to say that I'm perfect. I wholeheartedly believe that we're all on a journey of evolution, healing, and growth over our entire lifetime, meaning there's no end game for this work and uncovering our highest potentials. There's always another level. I absolutely still face moments of doubt, anxiety, stress, sadness, and overwhelm, and every human emotion on the spectrum. I just don't let them drive and run my reality anymore. My goal with this show is to let you in on the highs, lows, and in-betweens of every area of my life and how I flow through all the things with the devotion to creating and having my absolute best human adventure. Throughout this episode, I'm inviting you to take what feels like a yes to your soul and give yourself permission to let the rest go. The thoughts, opinions, and perspectives I share here have been uncovered in my life through my own experiences as a white, privileged, straight, able-bodied woman with all five senses. And currently I do have a partner, but we do not have children yet. While these things influence my experiences and perspectives, I fully believe that every human on the planet has the ability to unlock their truth and highest potential, create inner peace, expansion, and joy, and manifest the lives their souls desire and came here for. If I ever say anything harmful or offensive and you feel called to reach out about it, please do, as I'm open to doing better and appreciate your feedback. And I speak on the show the way that I coach my clients. I'll never say, ask, present, or question anything here that I wouldn't to them. With that, know that my clients pay me to be real with them, to shine light on the things they aren't seeing or don't want to look at so they can release and begin to heal what's really holding them back, leading to rapid evolution and transformation. I am so beyond happy to have you here, and I'm extremely grateful that I get to do this life by your side. Let's go to the show. Hello, magical souls. Welcome back to the show. We're going to start by diving right into what's making me feel vibey as of lately, because it relates to the reason why this podcast is dropping on a Monday versus my usual Fridays that I have been doing. So what that is me being an even deeper embodiment of the truth that life is not a race. So a couple of weeks ago, I did an episode on easing overwhelm and transitioning from a break or a vacation back into your day-to-day. And within that, I talked about this idea that life is not a race. And though I was an embodiment of this before, ever since that episode, this has become like a pillar, a solid pillar for my life. I have deepened my embodiment of it within the last couple of weeks. And it's making me feel so vibey because there's so much more presence, peace, fun, and play in my life. So last week I had 12 to 13 calls, which is not normal for me. My typical work week looks like maybe 6 to 7 calls, 8 tops between my private clients, mastermind, my coaches, and my therapist. But last week it was like 12 to 13. So it was a really eventful week. On top of that, I had channeled, which you guys might already know this if you watched my Instagram story on it. I had channeled this idea for a free training, which I'll talk about in a second, to do this Friday leading into my launch of the Femme Awakening. And there were just like other things happening last week. It was super eventful. So I get to Friday and I had full intentions to record this episode on Friday. But then when Friday came, I was just feeling done. I was just done with my work week. Everything just felt so complete in my system. And even though there were so many things on my to-do list still, even though it was like, there was a story, well, the podcast isn't out. You don't have a podcast episode recorded. You have this thing to do for this free training now. You got this to do, you got this to do that, you've got this to do. I dropped into this truth that life isn't a race, that I get to give myself permission to turn off on Friday, go home. Zach and I went to our hometown to hang out with our family Friday night, all day Saturday. And then Sunday, we just spent the day together, him and I, like grocery shopping, doing Sunday things. So I got to give myself that permission to not record and release the podcast on Friday, to do it when it feels fun. And this goes back to, if you were a Her Vibe is Pretty listener, we talked all the time about alignment before action. And if you've been in my recent containers, you've heard me talk about how it's not about what we do, but about who we're being as we do the thing. So I definitely could have forced myself to sit at my computer on Friday and get this recorded, and you wouldn't have gotten as much out of it. You might not have even felt the pull to listen to it, because the energy behind me recording that episode on Friday would have been an energy of resentment, and I would have wanted to rush through it because I wanted to just get on to my weekend. So I didn't do it. I gave myself permission to let it be messy. Like, the mind in me, a part of me was like, no, but you've done every Friday for so many weeks. Like, who cares? Life isn't a race. And I get to give myself permission to follow my heart, to follow my joy, to be present, and to live my life fully on the weekends, immersed in fun and joy and play and spending time with my family, even when I've got a billion things on my to-do list. I know eventually I'll get them all done, and there's no race to the finish line of any of them. So this is what's been making me feel really vibey lately, and has just been bringing in so much more, like I said, presence and like joy in my everyday life. So hopefully this inspires you as well. Just remember, life isn't a race. All the things that need to get done will get done. Things are going to happen. It's all going to be okay. It's like, look, this podcast is still happening. It's still coming to fruition. It might not have been in the timing my mind wanted it to, but it's okay. And it's going to be even better since I waited until I was feeling more in alignment with recording the show. So that's what's making me feel vibey. I'm also feeling really vibey just coming off of that weekend of being so present. I was barely on social media or on my phone. I was just so immersed in life. Again, Zach and I went home and we visited our family. We got to see literally almost everybody in our family, which was really nice. We went golfing for the first time this year, which was so much fun. And yeah, just had like a really blissful, relaxing weekend. So here I am back at it. I had this burst of energy last night, which was Sunday night, for getting into work today, feeling so much excitement around what's coming. The first thing I'm feeling super excited about being this free training that I'm doing this week, Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you can't make it live, of course, the replay will be sent and will be available for a limited time. This free training is called Girl to Goddess. It's all about building a relationship with your inner child and awakening your divine feminine energy. So this training is something that I've never done before. You might have been a part of my free masterclasses in the past, which are great. They're fun, but for whatever reason, my intuition is just calling me to lead this training, which is actually an entire module from my signature program, the Femme Awakening. So again, the Femme Awakening launch is coming up, and I was sitting with, I knew I wanted to do something like a free event leading into that launch, but I didn't know what. And my soul was just asking me to teach a whole module from it, which my mind definitely had some resistance to, I'm not going to lie. But as I sat with it, I'm like, there's a reason that I'm feeling pulled to teach this module. So we're going to run with it. So I'm really, really excited to host that for you guys. You've heard me talking about inner child work since day one. If you've been on this journey with me since day one, I have literally been talking about inner child work and how important it is, or in other terms, subconscious mind, for years. I was talking to a private client the other day who's in certifications to become a life coach. And we were talking about her certification programs, because starting my own certification program is something that has been in the back of my mind for a while, and I'm just now really starting to think about it seriously. And so her and I were chatting, and I was like, so what about inner child work? Is that in there? And she's like, no. I'm shocked that it's not. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm shocked that it's not. Like, how is a life coaching certification program not talking about inner child work, which is the foundation of this work? And the way I'm going to teach you inner child work in our training on Friday is in a way that is not very taught or talked about. It's in a way that finally got inner child work to land for me to the point where I can use it in my everyday life. So when I first learned about inner child work, I was kind of confused. I'm like, what's an inner child? How does this help? Like, how will this help me? How is this beneficial to my healing, to my growth? And though I did start to like get it with time, when I started using the perspective, the analogy, the tool that I'm going to teach you on Friday, everything changed for me. And I still use this tool every single day. I used it yesterday when Zach was, I'm not going to go into the full story, but I will tell you guys on Friday, Zach was doing something that was annoying the fuck out of me. And I used this tool to not snap and react and be a little bitch like I used to, but instead I honed in on this tool so that I could approach him in a situation that was annoying me from a place of my inner goddess, which felt so good and so just like lovely for the two of us. The thing that was annoying me turned into a joke between him and I. We laughed it off, and he still got my message of what it was that was annoying me. And it's like, how cool that I can use this tool to be an embodiment of my inner goddess in my relationship. I used it again this morning. You guys, I seriously use this tool every single day. I cannot wait to share it with all of you. And I think that's why my intuition is calling me to do this training specifically. Ooh, sorry. Drinking my coffee just knocked my spoon across my mug. Let me move this over here so that doesn't happen again. Okay. What was I saying? So I think that this is why my intuition is calling me to teach this module, because it's a tool that I use the most. Now, how I used it this morning was in combination with another tool, another framework that I teach within the program, but still it was there. It was active. I experienced a trigger this morning, and I was able to use this tool to dive in and really do the work to move through this trigger in such a goddess peaceful way, in a way that feels so empowering versus letting the trigger completely take me out and knock me out for the day. So I know that this is a bit vague, and I don't want to share too much because this is what the training is for on Friday. So if you are somebody who desires to make any change in your life, and you guys, I know it's so freaking general, but I am so confident that no matter what you are working on right now, whether that's your relationship with your partner, maybe you feel like you are in your masculine and they are in their feminine, and that doesn't feel good for you. Maybe you feel burnt out by that. Maybe you feel exhausted like that. Maybe you feel like the man of the house and you're sick of feeling that way. This module, this training on Friday, is going to help you shift that. Maybe you desire to make a change in your career, but something's stopping you, something's holding you back. This is going to help you there. Maybe in your career, you feel triggered left and right, and that doesn't feel good for you. This module, this training is going to help you shift that. Maybe you are working on your relationship to yourself, to your inner world. Maybe there's a lot of times where, you say things or you do things and you're like, what the heck? This is not who I really am. Why am I like this? I don't like this. There's a part of me that knows I'm not this. Then why do I keep saying this thing? Why do I keep doing this thing? So for me, for a while in my relationship, it was snapping at my partner. It's like, this is not who I am. It was being the mother to my partner. It's like, this is not who I am. I know that who I am is a goddess, is this divine feminine goddess who is sexy and loving and expansive and supportive for my partner. And every time I would snap at him or like say something that sounded like his mother, I'm like, this is not me. Why am I like this? So if there's anything like that in your life where you're like, I know that this is not my truth. Maybe it's a habit. Maybe it's binge and emotional eating. Maybe you're like, I know that this isn't who I am. This doesn't feel good for me to binge and emotionally eat. I know that this is not who I came here to be, but I don't know why I can't shift it. This training is for you. So if you are either struggling with anything in life right now, or you desire something to change, you feel like you could be more of your highest self in an area, come to this training. It's going to be about 90 minutes. And again, if you can't make it live, it is Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you can't make it live, I will send out the recording. You'll have access for a limited amount of time. Not sure how long that's going to be yet, probably like a couple of weeks. You're going to learn so much. You're going to take this tool with you and apply it every single day from this day forward, from that day forward. And if you do, it will change your entire life. So, Girl the Goddess, Friday, 3 p.m. Sign up with the link in the show notes. It's also in my bio on Instagram. I've also been sharing it on stories. If you have any questions about it, let me know. But if you've never done a free training with me before, this is the one to do. This is it. I've done, again, free masterclasses that are like 3 days long. They're super intense. They had, workbooks and modules. This one is going to be even more powerful than those masterclasses, because again, it is an entire module from my signature program, the Femme Awakening. And you might have heard me talk about this before, but one module can and will change your life if you stay open to it and you apply what I'm teaching. So come join us Friday, Girl the Goddess. You're going to start to understand, you're going to fully understand what I say, or what I mean when I say girl to goddess. You might not even realize right now that you're living as a girl when you could be living as a goddess, and you will totally get that and get what that means when you come immerse yourself in the training on Friday. So it's going to be amazing. Can't wait to see you there. Let's move on to our topic today. So I'm going to share 2 productivity hacks that have completely and totally changed my life. Of course, we only share life-changing content on this show, right? But one of them I don't use all the time anymore, but I did for a long time to get my business started. And it came back up when I was chatting with some of the members and the Confident and Courageous Courageous 2.0 and my mastermind. So I'm like, this is a good one to share. And then the second one I actually recently channeled, and it's super powerful. So let's get into it. The first productivity hack I want to share, like I said, I really started to use it when I first started my business, and I noticed that it felt really, really hard to stay motivated throughout the days. Obviously, you guys know my business is all online. And so what would happen when I first started it was I would get up in the morning and I would do my morning routine, which at the time was probably a good 2 hours. So I'd wake up, and that was including working out. So I'd wake up, I would do meditation, breathwork, journaling. I would go work out. I'd come home, make breakfast. So I had this super long, expansive morning routine, which was great. But then what would happen is I would finish my morning routine and getting ready around 10:30, 11 in the morning. And I would look at the clock and think to myself, oh my gosh, because new business owner, there's so much that I need to do. And I've just, like, half the day is gone. That was my mindset at that time. And that would create a lot of overwhelm. And on top of that, even though I was doing my morning routine, I still gave myself enough time. This was when I was really early on into like this inner work and mindset work. I still gave myself a lot of time to get in my head about being an entrepreneur and being a business owner and creating a successful business, creating content, sharing it with the world. I had so much time because I spent hours in my morning routine to let those thoughts, those subconscious thoughts start to come up and come into my awareness. And so what would happen is I'd sit down at my desk around 10:30, 11, and I'd feel overwhelmed. I'd lose inspo and creativity because my thoughts would get the best of me. That would lead to me getting distracted with things around the house. And some of you, we've talked about this before. I can't remember what episode it was on of Her Vibe is Pretty, but for a while I would get, maybe I didn't do an episode on this, but this might have been the DMs with somebody. Somebody had asked me like, hey, what do you think about me renting an office? I find myself getting distracted at home when I work from home. And I'm like, yeah, same. I used to struggle with that so badly. I would get distracted with laundry or dishes or a project that I've been wanting to do around the house. And it felt really hard and really challenging to stay motivated when I first started my business. Like that's just the gist of it. And so it would lead to me, trying to do some work, trying to be creative, not really getting anything done, getting frustrated. And that was such a resistant energy. So what I started to do, and now I will say that for me personally, I'm most creative in the mornings. If you follow Abraham Hicks, you've heard them talk about how when we go to bed at night and we sleep, it's like a reset for our energy. So when you wake up first thing in the morning, it's like you're cleansed, you're reset. Your thoughts, your negative thought patterns, your negative energy from the day before is typically gone. You've got a fresh start right when you wake up. And so with that, I'm definitely more creative in the mornings. I feel more motivated in the mornings because I wake up and I'm like, the world is my oyster. I can do anything. I can be anything. I can have anything. I'm unstoppable. Like that's just the energy that I wake up in. Okay. That sounds very dramatic. So if Zach were to listen to this, he'd be like, yeah, right. Because I'm like very physically, I'm groggy. It's like hard to open my eyes. My eyes are dry. I feel like, just that morning, like, And I will say it's getting better because we have been like experimenting with mouth tape, which has been helping. And I do get pretty good sleep. I've been doing like a couple other things to hopefully like attempt to improve that physical feeling in the morning. However, mentally and emotionally, I'm very much so like, I got this. The first thing like coming up and when I first opened my journal, like I feel very inspired. And so what I started to do to create this momentum in my business was I decided that instead of doing my morning routine, when I got up in the morning, I was going to spend time right away doing one thing that moved the needle forward in my business before I did anything else. And this was a little challenging for me at first because I was such a diehard morning routiner at this point. I had, again, 2-hour morning routines. And I had, heard all the things about how, get into alignment before action. But for whatever reason, it just wasn't working for me at this time because after my morning routines, I would feel like slumpish. So I would get up in the morning and I would do one thing on my to-do list or one thing that I thought would move the needle forward in my business before I did anything else, before I journaled, before I meditated. Okay, I will say that I drank water and made my coffee, but then that's what I would do. I'd get up, I'd drink my water, make my latte, I'd go to my desk, and I would knock one thing out that moved the needle forward before journaling, before meditating, before doing breath work, before working out. That was my goal, just one thing. And that changed everything for me. Because first of all, I would get that one thing done when the creativity and the motivation and the inspiration was there. And of course, I had all of that energy to do that because, like, if you look at your day in itself, as you do more and more and more throughout the day, your energy is depleted, right? And so this can be kind of contradictory for a morning routine because it's like if you're doing too much, like I was, you might feel more exhausted by the end of it. I was doing so much during that morning routine of mine. And not to mention that at this time, I was also getting distracted by social media. So I'd have such long, lengthy morning routines that it was really easy for me to end up in an Instagram scroll or a Facebook scroll or responding to a message that I didn't mean to respond to or something like that. So I was getting really distracted and it was taking energy. So again, by the time I got to my desk, I was like kind of feeling a bit off. But if you do the thing first thing in the morning, you've got all the energy. You've got all the clarity. You haven't looked at email yet. You haven't checked social media yet. You haven't checked your messages yet. You haven't exerted energy in any way yet. So use that energy first thing in the morning to do something that's going to take you one step closer to that which you desire. So my question for you and my invitation for you is, what do you desire? I want you to choose that thing that you desire that you've been putting off, that you've been saying, oh, I just don't have time to do it. I can't find the time to do it. I don't have any time. I don't have any energy. I don't have any motivation to do it. but I want to do it. Okay. So the part of you that wants to do it is your soul, is your inner goddess. The part of you that's saying, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the clarity, is a different part of you that is not actually you. Bringing in the training on Friday again, like we're going to go into that. We're going to go into what part that actually is. So there is a part that you get to trust that the part of you that wants to do it is you, is your real self. And if this thing wasn't meant for you, it wouldn't be in you. If it wasn't meant for you to do this thing or to bring this desire to fruition, you wouldn't even have the pull to do it. You wouldn't even feel the calling toward it. If it wasn't meant for you, it would be in somebody else. So what is it that you desire? I want you to decide, just for this example, like think of something you desire. And now I want you to make a list of what may need to happen to create this for yourself. So make a list of all the things. And then what I want you to do is when you wake up tomorrow and for the next week, just try this on for a week. Give yourself 10 minutes every morning to work on something from this list. Just 10 minutes. If you've got to wake up 10 minutes earlier, if your mornings are already super packed, set your alarm for 10 minutes earlier. Go to bed 10 minutes earlier, set your alarm for 10 minutes earlier. Even if you don't go to bed 10 minutes earlier, you can wake up 10 minutes earlier. I know you can do that. Not saying it's going to be easy, but you can do it. 10 minutes. Give yourself 10 minutes every morning to work on this list. And in a week, you're going to have 70 minutes. That's over an hour devoted toward this thing. You're going to be leaps and bounds closer to bringing it to fruition. So I want to give you an example. This example comes from something that I'm actually working on right now, which is a merchandise line. So maybe you want to start a merch line. What are the things that you might need to do in the material realm to bring that merch line to fruition? Well, you're going to have to find and choose a company to work with. You're going to have to create designs. You're going to have to set up a store to sell the things. You're going to maybe create a link in your bio on Instagram in order for people to find your merch line. You're going to want to create marketing for your merchandise. So you're going to make this list. And then for the next week, you're going to spend just 10 minutes in the morning before anything else. Permission to get your water, get your coffee, get your tea before doing this. Like that makes it the experience a bit more vibey. Permission to light a candle. Like how much more pleasure can you bring into this? You're going to spend just 10 minutes every morning before you do anything else, before you get ready for work, before you do your morning routine, before you make yourself breakfast, before you make the kids breakfast, before you get the kids up. If you have kids, I highly recommend. And again, like saying this lightly, I'm not a mom yet. I understand. I don't understand, but I can see how this would be really fucking hard. And also I believe that you have what it takes to do this. And I also believe that it will pay off tenfold for not only you, but your children as well in the future. 10 minutes every morning to start to research companies to work with. I bet you after doing that for 10 minutes one morning, the next day, you'll know which company you're going to work with. And that next day, you're going to spend that 10 minutes creating an account with that company. And you're going to get that set up. And then the next day, you're going to spend 10 minutes working on a design. You're going to get a design created. And then the next day, you're going to spend 10 more minutes, maybe setting up that store. And like, I know that this takes each of these tasks take maybe like 10 to 20-ish minutes because I just did it. It's really not as hard as it may seem. So you're going to spend just 10 minutes before anything else working on this thing that you desire, and it's going to come to fruition so quickly. Maybe, let's give some more examples. Maybe you want to do an online course or an online program. So I have a client who is she's in an online program to learn how to enhance her, or I think it's to become like to start her own copywriting business. So maybe you're joining a program to learn how to start a copywriting business or to learn how to create an online course or something along those lines. Or maybe your program is one similar to the Femme Awakening. Maybe it's more so of a life coaching program. Maybe it's a program for you to, work on your relationship to yourself, to your emotions, to your partner. And you've got this online course or you want to join this online course, but there's this belief in your mind that you just don't have the time. spend 10 minutes every morning going through the modules. So I'm just thinking about the Femme Awakening, for example. It is, I think there are 18 total modules this round, and each one is about 60 minutes. So if you were to join Femme Awakening, but there's this part of you that's like, I don't have the time to do it, you get to spend 10 minutes every morning before doing anything else working on each module. You're going to have one module done in less than a week if you just give 10 minutes of your time to it every day. If you're in a copywriting program, like my one client is, or something similar, if you just spend 10 minutes every morning on each of those modules, you're going to have it done in no time. And not only that, but sometimes breaking down modules into 10-minute increments is actually more beneficial because you can just listen to the 10 minutes and let yourself absorb that 10 minutes of wisdom for the rest of your day, which might actually help it land more. Maybe you desire to, maybe you're a business owner like I am, and you want to start creating more content. Spend 10 minutes every morning working on a piece of content. You're going to have a piece of content done in a couple of days. And then on day 3, you're going to get to spend that 10 minutes posting the content. And you're going to get better and better, quicker and quicker at this. And then all of a sudden, you're going to be a content creation queen. Ooh, I feel like that's a really catchy name. Maybe I'll create a course called Content Creation Queen one day. So you get where I'm going with this. It's like whatever you want in life. Maybe it's health and wellness goals. Okay, what do you desire? Like, what do you need to hit those health and wellness goals? Maybe it's 10 minutes every morning moving your body. Maybe you've got a treadmill and you're just like, all right, I'm going to get up, I'm going to walk for 10 minutes. And then you could even multitask, listen to a podcast, listen to a training. And that's it. Like just 10 minutes a day walking before you do anything else. You guys, when you start doing this, here's what's going to happen. Not only are you going to take leaps and bounds toward that thing that you desire, toward that career that you want, toward that relationship that you desire, toward that side hustle that you want, toward that thing that you want. Yes, you're going to get so much further, but here's what's also going to happen is you're going to feel so accomplished when you do this. When you get up and you spend that 10 minutes before anything else, doing the thing, completing the thing, or working on the thing, you're going to walk through your day with this newfound energy of accomplishment, of pride, of, wow, it's 7 a.m. and I already created an account for my merchandise line. It's 7 a.m. and I already wrote and posted a piece of content. It's 7 a.m. and I already listened to part of this module and learned this really wise thing that's going to change how I lead the rest of my day. You're going to feel so accomplished. And that energy keeps the motivation and their inspiration flowing. So backing it up to my example, when I was first starting my business, like I said, I would, do my morning routine. I wouldn't do anything for my business. I wouldn't move the needle forward at all. And then by the time it was like 10:30, 11, I actually got into work. I was feeling just like overwhelmed by all the things that I needed to do. And I hadn't gotten anything done yet. But when I started doing one thing before even my morning routine, I would do the one thing, I would do my morning routine, I'd come back to my desk and I would just feel so accomplished because I'm like, damn, even if I do nothing else the rest of the day, I already got this one thing done. Like I am on fire. And that energy led to me creating more and more and more. And that's how I built this consistency in my business. That's how I built this motivation and this devotion that I just so naturally carry these days. Now, I will say that I still sometimes use this hack. And it's more so when I'm, waking up feeling like ample motivation and inspiration. But if I were ever to get to a point in my business again where I'm putting something off, I would absolutely start doing this again. I would wake up, jump right in. And again, I do it sometimes, but it's more so when it just feels like I can't not start working right now because I've got that much motivation and energy to do so. So if there's ever a time in my business where I'm like feeling like I'm lacking or slacking somewhere, I will absolutely do this again. I'll get up, I'll dive into my to-do list, I'll do one thing, and then I'll go flow into my morning routine. So try this on. Let me know how it goes. It's going to be so powerful for you, especially if you're somebody who finds yourself using the time excuse a lot. like just 10 minutes every morning. It's going to be a game changer. And chances are you working on it in the morning is going to lead to this natural motivation after your workday to dive back in, because you're going to feel so excited about what you already created. All right. So that's the first productivity hack that I wanted to share. I want to dive, excuse me. I want to dive into the next one, that this is a little bit more recent, but it's not recent. I've been doing this for a while, but the other day when I did it, I'm like, damn, I bet you that I could shine light on this and like help a lot of people with this hack that I randomly created. So this is for those of you who need to be creative or need to channel your creativity for your career, or for, I think for your career. I mean, let me know if this applies to you, but you don't necessarily need to be creative for your career, because off the top of my head, I can't really think of other places where this would apply. But for those of you who feel like you need to be creative, you need to channel that creativity for your career, this is for you. And this is especially for you when you're feeling those creative blocks. So for example, for my career, a lot of creativity gets to be channeled through me. Creativity to create and post content on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, in emails. Creativity to create programs, courses, containers. Creativity to keep the motivation and accountability and inspiration flowing through all of my containers. Like, creativity is something that I absolutely need to channel creativity for the podcast on what to talk about. And what tends to happen with all creatives is there comes a time where we feel creatively blocked. So if you are feeling creatively blocked, but you've got a lot of stuff to do, here's the hack. Can you just do the simple things? This is why this came up. So I was feeling a bit creatively blocked around this free event that I desired to do for the lead into the Femme Awakening launch. So like I had mentioned earlier, even though my soul, my intuition had this idea to just teach an entire module from the program, there was a lot of resistance to that. So I had a lot of resistance in the mind to doing that. Therefore, I was attempting to open my creative channels to come up with other ideas. So I was sitting at my desk last week, feeling creatively blocked around this because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do for that free event. And there was a lot more that I needed to get done, A, to bring this free event to fruition, but B, just for like my career in general. So I was sitting there really wanting to create this free event, but it wasn't coming through. So I was sitting there wasting time pretty much. I was staring at a blank screen. I was getting in my head. I was getting frustrated, and I was wasting all of this precious time that I could have been using toward doing one of the things that I needed to get done that I could get done without being creative. So I finally realized that this is happening, and I'm like, okay, instead of forcing myself to sit here right now and create this free event, I'm going to dive into back-end things that I know I can get done without needing to be creative. So for example, one of those things was I needed to get the back end set up for all of the payment plan options for the Femme Awakening. So for this round, I am doing 4 different payment plans, which I've never done before. I want to make this program, so easily accessible to everybody who desires to join. And so for that reason, I'm doing extra payment plans that make it very accessible and easier to afford for everybody, no matter where you're at financially. So I needed to get that done. And that's something I can get done without being creative. There were website things that I needed to get done. I didn't need creativity for that. There were like just creating the form to be submitted for this free event needed to be created, but I didn't need to be creative for that. So instead of staring at the blank screen, trying to figure out and channel the creativity for this free event, I gave myself permission to come back to it. And instead, I just did the simple things that didn't require creativity. And again, that energy of getting these things done, of checking these things off of my to-do list, made me feel so empowered. It brought through so many sensations of empowerment and excitement for the launch of the Femme Awakening and for the free event to come to fruition, which led to me finally just saying yes to this intuitive pull to do the entire free module on Friday. So it's like I was feeling creatively blocked. Instead of forcing myself to do it and giving myself permission to do other things that I knew I was capable of doing, it kind of helped me pull through that confidence that like I can do the things that it takes to bring this event to fruition. I can do the things that it takes to have a very beautiful, successful business, one that gives and receives. So if you are feeling creatively blocked and you've got a lot to do, and I think the other reason that I'm really bringing this in is because like if you're feeling creatively blocked and you've got a lot on your to-do list, you know how overwhelming that is. If you're trying to force yourself to do that creative thing first before you do anything else on your to-do list, it's freaking overwhelming, especially as the time ticks, as the screen stays blank or the canvas stays blank. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's already 11:30 and I still have all these things to do and I still don't have this thing done. Oh my gosh, it's already 12 o'clock and I still am not channeling my creativity. It's like, stop forcing. It's kind of is like the theme of the episode this week. It goes back to what I was talking about at the beginning. It's like trying to force yourself to do something when it doesn't feel like the thing to do is never productive. It never, okay, I shouldn't say never. It very rarely saves us because there are also things that, like I heard a coach say this the other day. She is also an entrepreneur, and somebody was asking her about like, how do you show up to your business when you don't feel like doing it? And she's like, well, if I were to be working a 9-to-5 job for somebody else, and I woke up one morning and I didn't feel like going to work, like, would I just not go to work? Maybe sometimes. Like, I feel like sometimes people will use their call-in days, but more often than not, that's not the case. When you're working for somebody else and you don't feel like going to work, like typically you still go to work. And there, as an entrepreneur, like, do we have more freedom to give ourselves the space to, explore what's going on and, work on our mental health and our emotionality and, give ourselves the space to like take a break or take a walk or, take a self-care day? Yeah, absolutely. And there are definitely still times where you don't feel like showing up and you show up anyway. It's that staying power. However, with actions, with creativity, I find so much benefit in doing the things when they feel more aligning than forcing myself to do them when I'm feeling super freaking blocked around them. But again, this little hack of getting other things done and then allowing myself to come back to the thing that I'm, desiring the creative channel to be open for has actually served me well and led me, like in this situation, it literally led me to channeling the creativity to create this event. Because doing those things that I needed to get done that I didn't need the creativity for, like creating the form and creating, the back end, got me super excited to just host the event. And that excitement to host the event led to me just saying, okay, yes, I'm going to listen to my soul. I'm going to do this free module. It's going to be amazing. And now all is well. So that is it for today. Hack number 1 is if you are using the time excuse as an excuse, it is just an excuse. You've got this. You have the resources. You have what you need in order to start doing the thing. 10 minutes every morning before you do anything else. And you guys, if that seems like a stretch, do 5. Do 5 minutes, because 5 minutes for the next week is going to be 35 minutes spent taking action toward that thing that you want. And again, that's a huge leap. So do the thing straight away before your morning routine. And then if you do a morning routine, let yourself go into your morning routine after that. Or, get ready for work after that. Eat breakfast after that. Get the kids ready or get the kids up and ready after that. But spend that first part of your day doing that one thing. It will completely change everything for you. And then the second hack is if you're feeling creatively blocked and you've got a lot to do, give yourself permission to not do the creative thing, wipe it off your slate for now, and just do the simple things that you can do that don't involve creativity, and it will full circle you back to channeling the creativity for that thing most of the time. All right, so that is it for today. Let me know if this was helpful. Let me know what landed for you. If you try these hacks on, please let me know. I would love, love, love to hear about it. DM me. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Go sign up for the free training, and I will see you on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our module, Girl to Goddess. Can't wait. And that concludes today's show. Thank you so much for listening. And if you are listening before May 1st of 2023, be sure to leave a rating and a review to be entered into a giveaway for a grand prize of an entire whole ass course or portal with me, a very vibey journal, and also a piece of merch from my up and coming merchandise line. This giveaway is valued at over $1,300, so it's one that you don't want to miss out on. Again, leave a rating and a review below, whether you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, or if you're listening somewhere else, I'll give you another way to enter into this giveaway. Just DM me. All right, I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.